Namaskar, sir. Am, am I audible? Okay, okay. So, everything okay? Okay, okay. Thank you.
नमस्ते हरप्रीत। आवाज आ रही है? अभी 2 मिनट और है। A very good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of Faculty of Pharmacy, I, Dr. Shweta Verma, welcomes you all on the second day of Faculty Development Program on Research Design and Methodology, organized by Faculty of Pharmacy, IFTM University, Moradabad. First of all, I take this privilege to welcome and thanks for the support of Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor M.P. Pandey Sir, Distinguished Registrar, Professor Sanjeev Agarwal Sir, Resource Person for today's session, Dr. Dharmen Kumar, Professor and Head of Research Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry and PAQA, Laureate Institute of Pharmacy, Kangra HP, Himachal Pradesh. Dean Faculty of Pharmacy, Professor Navneet Verma Sir, Dean Research, Professor Sushil Kumar Sir, all organizing team, faculty members, and all the participants of the FDP. As yesterday was the first day of FDP, the resource person Dr. Deepak Kumar delivered his lecture on bioimaging, useful tool to monitor biological events in cell, which was very enlightening and knowledgeable session. Continuation to this, on second day of FDP may also provide the participants a platform to enhance their research skills. For today's session, Dr. Dharmen Kumar will provide the information on the topic research proposals for different funding agencies. So, may I now request our resource person, Dr. Dharmen Kumar, who is presently working as Assistant Professor and Head of Research at Laureate Institute of Pharmacy and also working as an adjunct professor in Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, UCSI University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He has more than 14 years of experience in teaching and industry, and he did his bachelor, master and doctoral degree from Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, HNB Garhwal Central University, UP Technical University, Lucknow and Shobit University, Meerut. He is the also recipient of Young Scientist Award and a reviewer for international journals and has been associated with different academic and different committees of governing bodies. He has guided number of PhD and MPharm students and has number of publications in eminent journal. So, may I now request our resource person, Dr. Dharmen Kumar Sir, to please come on the platform and deliver his informative lecture. Sir, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pragya.
No, sir, it's Dr. Shweta Verma.
Dr. Shweta Verma, okay. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me as a resource person. So Dean Pharmacy and Dean Research. Once again, good afternoon to all of you. Can you see my slide?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay. Now you can see my slide.
Yeah, sir, yeah.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Okay, so thank you so much. Let me start my topic. It's a very easy topic and a very complex topic. You can say it's easy and you can say it's a difficult topic. So the topic is a research proposal for different funding agencies. So every scientist, every academician want to get research grant from different funding agencies. So presently I am a professor and head of research at Laureate Institute of Pharmacy. And I am also adjunct professor at Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, UCSI University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So let me discuss about the topic. So introduction part, this part I will cover the how to write the research proposal, what about their contents, and after writing the research proposal, how to submit the research proposal for different funding agencies. Like most common funding agencies like the ICMR, DST, ACRB, SUB, DBT, NMPB. So later we'll discuss one by one. So what is the definitions of the research proposal? The first question is, what is the research proposal? You can define the research proposal. The research proposal is a document proposing a research project. Generally, in the science field or the academia field, generally constitutes a request for the sponsorship of that research. So it's a art. You can say it's the art of writing the research proposal, because our research proposal should be impactful, should be concise, should be focused, and your title of the research proposal reflect each and everything. Because for the writing for the research proposal need to be more exhaustive literature survey. Based on the literature survey, you can write the research proposal. Because if you read the literature and find out some problems and find out something new and something you can do something new like this. So it's our title of the research proposal should be impactful, because the reviewer want to see what about your topic, what about your thrust area, what about your niche area. So this is about research proposal. And the funding. Funding is required, because without funding you cannot do the research, you cannot publish the paper, you cannot do anything, you cannot go for the abroad for the present the paper. So funding is a most important part. And without funding you cannot doing the research, because need chemicals, need solvents, need kits, need enzymatic kits, because you have to need the money, you have to need the fund. So funding is required. You can say in the part of full funded or the partially funded from the government agencies or the government funding agencies, and you can say also from the charitable trust or the business, individual, and any other sources. So funding is a very important part for the research proposal. And earlier I told you, because your research proposal reflect each and everything. So the contents for the research proposal is the title. The first important part is title. So our title should be impactful, for it should be focused, it should be pinpoint. So, and it should reflect your each and everything inside the research proposal. And then about the rationale, what about the problem statement, what about the novelty, why you do the research, why you go for the research, so need to be justified. What about the novel, what about the innovation of your research proposal, what about innovation for your research work. So after innovation, then you have to decide the objective of the research, aim and objective of the research work. After aim and objective, you have to write down the methodology. Suppose you have to do the study for the anti-gout activity or anti-tubercular activity, you have to need the methodology like in vivo and in vitro study. After that, expected outcome based on the three factors. First factor for the societal benefits. After, at the end of research, what about the benefits for the society? Because every funding agency want to outcome, and outcome in the form of societal benefits. If your project will be fruitful, if your project will be beneficial, so at the end of the project, or the end of the proposals, I have to justify for the society. What about the societal benefits? What about the economic benefits, and what about the national benefits? This is about the expected outcome, and expected outcome in terms of the publications. You at the end of research, you have to publish the paper in the Q1, Q2, Q3 journals, because nowadays the trend is going on. Most of the funding agencies, the criteria, you have to publish the paper in Q1 journal or Q2 journal. So these are some contents of the proposal, and these all based on the literature survey. So you have to need the more exhaustive literature survey, and based on the literature, you have to propose your plan. You have to write your innovations, write your problem statement, write your aim and objective, write your methodology, and end of this topic, you have to need the benefits for the society, economic factors, as well as for the national benefits, and the timeline. The timeline is very important. because each and every proposal or projects, it has 3 years times. So you have to finish the work within time limit, within timeline. So this is about the introduction point. So you have to need the application, you have to uh, take the targets, you have to do the case study, concept notes, because nowadays is trend going on before submission of the full project, full proposal to the funding agencies. Nowadays, most of the funding agencies, they will take a concept note, and based on the concept notes, they will decide if your concept note is approved from the funding agency, then the funding agencies again call for the full paper or full proposal. After full proposal, then you have to get the grant, and after getting the grant, you can start your work. So these are uh, some steps of the proposals, like a proposal, project, concept notes, objectives, project title. Already we discussed earlier. So these are some contents of the research proposal. Now, these are the contents already I discussed, like the title, your title should be impactful, abstract of the paper, abstract of the proposals, what about their rationale, what about their problem statement, what about the research questions. So before writing this research proposal, you ask the question yourself first. And after asking the question, then you can how to solve these issues. Then you have to need the gone through the literature survey. After this, methodology, analysis, and the timeline. There are many type of grants. Most of you know about these all type of grants, like the research grant. It's the most common for, I think, most of the academician and the researcher know about this one, like research grant. Some of the funding agencies, they're providing the seminar or workshop grants and the training program grants, fellowship grants, travel grants, and publication grants. So for travel grants, suppose if you want to if you want to go to abroad and publish the paper and deliver your talk on that time, you have to need the travel grants. So you can apply your proposal, research proposal to the DST or DBT or ICMR. And if your project or proposal is impactful, and if the reviewer is approved your project on that time, you can get the grant for the traveling allowances, for the traveling grants. Same thing in case of the publications, because some of the funding agencies, they're providing the publication APC, that is called the article processing charges. So some of the funding agencies are providing the publication fees in terms of APC for Q1, Q2, or Q3 journals, and it's very the charge is very high, because if you're talking about the good journals like the Frontier in Pharmacology and the from the Science Direct journals, Q1 journals, the charge of APC is USD 3,000 USD. It's a very much too much charges for the APC for the publication in a Q1 journal. So for Q1 journal, you have to need the grant. So in that case, you can apply for the APC for different funding agencies like the NMPB, National Medicinal Plant Board. You can apply with the DST. You can apply with the ICMR, and you can get the publication APC. And after that, you can publish the paper. So these are all types of grants, and hopefully we all can apply for this one, because everyone wants to get the research grant or travel grants or seminar grants or workshop grant. So need to apply and need to try. After apply, it may be approved, it may be rejected, depending upon the situation, depending upon the conditions. So after rejection, don't be afraid. You can try again, and you can get the grant. So this is about the types of grants. Now the eligibility of the grant. For eligibility for the grant, so the first for the individuals, it may be applied for the individuals. And the second condition for the grant, the faculty should be permanent with the PhD. And the third factor, the profile of the researcher. So if you want to submit the proposal, research proposal to the different funding agencies, your profile should be impactful. This is the truthful. This is the important point, because the profile of researcher is impactful. If the profile of researcher is good, you can get the grant. Your profile and your institute, your college or university should be famous, should be fulfill all the criteria as per the UGC, as per the ICT. So the profile of the researcher is very good point. And the profile of researcher you can measure with the Google Scholar. I think most of you know about the Google Scholar. What about the H index, I-10 index? So Google Scholar is a first measuring point for the researcher profile. Second point, the Scopus index and the H index, as per the Scopus general, it's a very important point. And nowadays, the most of the abroad, most of the countries, they only see the Scopus H index. They don't want to see the Google Scholar H index or I-10 index. They only in the just I'm putting some examples like Australia, USA, Malaysia, even in case of the Singapore, the most of the scientists, they only see the Scopus H index, how many Scopus paper, and only count as a Scopus paper. So profile research is very impactful, very important. And the third measuring point is the Publons. You know about the Publons. Publons, basically, it's under the Web of Science. So if you have the ID, okay. If you don't have ID, you must be registered on the Publon website, because everybody, if you are a good researcher or if you are a good academician, everybody want to see about your profile in terms of the Google Scholar, in terms of the Scopus, in terms of the Publons. And Publons basically it's under the Web of Science. So some of the papers, some of the journals under the Web of Science. So each and every measuring point, it has the H index. So it's a very, very important point for the eligibility for the grant. If you are a PI, if you are a principal investigator, you have to need to enhance your H index. This is the criteria. Your citation, your H index, your I-10 index should be very, very important for the PI, for the principal investigator. Now, the next point is the for the eligibility working in the postgraduate institute or the research department. It's the criteria because PG and research department only doing the research work. So you have to need the working in the postgraduate studies as well as for the research department. For bachelor, most of the funding agencies don't provide the grant for the only bachelor courses. So you have to need the postgraduate as well as research department. And for the eligibility for the grant, your institute, your university or college should be either from the 2F or the 12B from UGC Act 1956. So it's a criteria for the eligibility for the grant. If you have each and everything, if you have these all content, you can apply for the grant. And our university or college or our institute should be from the public or private funded institutions. So it may be the government, it may be the private, but about the most of the government agencies, most of the government universities getting the grant. But you cannot say 100% only government universities getting the grant. Even about the private universities nowadays getting it's a good grant from the ICMR or DST or NMPB. But for the grant, the other criteria, the other eligibility criteria is you must have the DSIR, Department of Scientific and Industrial Department. That's under the Ministry of Technology. So we have the your institute or your college should be certified from the DSIR. Nowadays, it's a criteria for the ICMR. When you submit the proposal at the ICMR, you have to need the DSIR certifications. And your institute or your college should be research facilities. You have the research equipment. So if you have all contents, if you have all these things, you can apply for the grant. What about the procedures? The procedure for the grant, our research proposal should be must be written in the thrust area or the niche area. Your area of the research should be impactful, and what is going on nowadays. So always you have to focus on the niche area or the thrust area for the proposal writing. Second point, you have to need write the detailed research proposal. Already I told you the research proposal, the contents, basically title of the project, what about their objective, what about national, what about innovations, what about their expected outcomes. So you have to write the research proposal in detailed manner. And for detailed research proposal, you have to need the exhaustive literature survey. So basically, the third point for the procedures, like the profile, and earlier I told you, the profile of the PI should be impactful because you have to enhance your quality, enhance your research quality, enhance your H index, enhance your Scopus index paper. You have to publish Q1 paper, Q2 paper, Q3 papers. If you don't have the research paper, you can publish as a review article in a Q1 journal, because the reviewer want to see your profile. What about your area? What about your publications? What about your Pavlov's H index? What about their Scopus H index? And the third point, that is called the reputations. So reputations of your institute should be impactful. Your institute should be good. That's you can apply for the grant. Now the different funding agencies. So there are different funding agencies like the international funding agencies, national funding agencies. So for the international funding agencies, international research funding agencies, you have the many research funding agencies. I quoted some examples over here. If your project is impactful, if your proposal is impactful, you can apply with the different research funding agencies. So I quoted some examples over here and the website over here. So if you need the website detail, I will provide to you. Like the National Institute of NIS, you know about the NIS, National Institute of Health. Funding opportunity can be found at these are the website address. So you can apply with the NIH and you can get the international research grant from the different funding agencies. Second one, that is called the Harvard Medical Institute. The website is this one. So you can apply with the so you can submit the proposal in NIH, in Harvard Medical Institute, in European Union. You can apply in the Department of International Development and Ford Foundations, as well as Research and Development Information. So these are the website, and if you want to go detail, if you want to detail information, you can visit the website and you can get each and every information. What about their dates? What about the submission date? What about the closing date? What about the opening date? What about their criteria? What about their format? So you can get each and everything from the different websites. There are many international research funding agencies, but I quoted only few examples over here. These are the common research grant funding agencies, as international funding agencies. And NIH is very famous for the funding for the grant. So now the next one, that is called the national level. The national level, basically, you know about the national level. It's UGC. You know about the UGC, University Grant Commissions, and the website address is ugc.ac.in. And it's nothing new. Most of you know about the UGC. So for UGC, if you want to submit the research proposal in UGC, you have to need the approval from the UGC, either college or institute or university, from the 2F or 12B under UGC 1956 Act. So you have to approval from the either from the 2F or 12B. If you have 2F or 12B, you can easily submit the proposal for the UGC and you can get the major and minor grant. So major grant, you can get the 15 to 30 lakhs, and for minor grant, you can get the 5 to 10 lakhs. So this is the opportunity for all of us. If you have the 2F or 12B, you can go with the UGC website and you can see what about their opening date, what about the closing date for the submission of the proposal, and you can try for it. Second thing, that is called the Center for the Scientific and Industrial Research, that is called the CSIR. And CSIR, basically they're providing the grant for the research work. So we'll discuss in detail later. And ISI, that is called, the website is isid.ac.in. You can get the grant from ISI website. And Department of Science and Technology is a very common funding agencies, and most of the our colleagues and our friends getting the grant from the DST. So DST and SERB, Department Science and Engineering Research, SERB, and DST, they're providing the grant for the travel grant, they're providing the grant for the research, they providing the grant for EMR. So it's a very common funding agencies, and they're providing the grant for the workshop, for the conferences, for the national conferences. So it's a very common and very famous funding agencies, that is called the Department of Science and Technology. And if you want to go to detail, you can visit with the website www.dst.gov.in, and you can get the more information about the DST, about SERB, and Department of Biotechnology. You know about the biotechnology, DBT, that is called they're providing the grant for the biotechnological products, for the microbiological products. So DBT also providing the grant for different area. So these are the website address if you want to go in detail, because you have to need the study, you have to need to visit the website, and you can get the more information, and more information in terms of the what about their format. The format is very important. How to write the research proposal in the different format, and what about their date, what about their closing date. So most of the research proposal nowadays submitted online. So for submission of the online, the first point, we have to register in different websites, different funding agencies. Like you have to register in ICMR, you have to register in the DBT, you have to register in the DST, you have to register in SERB, and after registration, then you can only submit the research proposal. So for the registration, you have to need to your institute should be there. So first of all, you have to register yourself, and after registration, your institute should be reflected in the website for the DST or DBT or ICMR. And after that, you can submit your proposal, or you can submit your concept notes. And just I'm quoting one of the examples, like ICMR. Nowadays, ICMR, they're getting only they call for the concept notes. So the concept notes, it should be 3 to 4 pages only. And the research concept notes, the contents are same like this, but it's a very concise and very brief. When you submit the concept note to the ICMR, the reviewers will review your concept note, and if your concept note is up to mark and up to level, the reviewer either approve your project or reject your concept notes. So if the reviewer approved your concept note, then after that they will give you the ICMR give you time for 2 months. You can submit the full research proposal for the website, and after that you can getting if everything will be normal, everything will be okay, you can get the grant. So these are some funding agencies, and the ICMR is a very common funding agencies. So these are some national level funding agencies. And this is my advice to all of you, all academicians, all researchers. You must be trying for the grant, either in the form of the research grant, or the traveling grant, or publication grant, or the conference grant. You must be trying for that. I have some format, I have some references. I will give you how to submit and how to get the conference grant, or how to get the publication grant or research grant. Now the next one, that is called these are the funding agencies. You know about the AICT, All India Council for Technical Education, and second one, that is called the CSIR, the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. DRDO is the most common and the most famous organization in India, that is called the Defense Research and Development Organization. Department of Atomic Energy, DAE, Department of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and the Homeopathy, Ayush. Ayush is a very nowadays very common in a COVID time. So nowadays is Ayush, under the Ayush NMPB, that is called the National Medicinal Plant Board. They're providing the grant for the research work, for the plant research work, for the standardizations, for the isolation, for the characterization. So nowadays, IUS is providing a too much grant, too much research grant for the funding from the funding agencies. Now the next one that is called the DOC, DBT, that is called the Department of Biotechnology. You know about the DBT already I discussed over here. Department of Coal, DOC, Ministry of Earth Science, Department of Science and Technology, DST, DSIR. Earlier I told you DSIR, that is called the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research. And nowadays DSIR is very, very important for the grant. If you apply for the grant, if you apply for the DVT or DST or ICMR, first of all, the need certification from the DSIR. If you submit the research proposal to ICMR or DBT or DST, when you get the grant, but you don't have the DSIR, you cannot reimburse your amount from the funding agencies. So DSIR is very, very common, very, very important for nowadays. Without DSIR, you cannot get the grant from the DBT or ICMR or DBT or DSIR. So this is my advice to all of academicians, all the researchers. If you have the DSIR, it is okay, no problem. But if you don't have the DSIR, you must be apply for the DSIR first of all. If you're getting the DSIR, after that it's easy for you. You can easily get the grant from the ICMR or DST or DBT. So this is the primary requirement for the grant or from the funding agencies, DSIR. Now the ICMR, you know about the ICMR and IMD, these are the funding agencies. Now AICT, you know about the AICT, All India Council for Technical Education. So ICMR, the AICT has a different type of scheme. The first scheme that is called the Research and Institutional Development Scheme, the MORADABAD. I think most of you know about the MORADABAD. So MORADABAD, that is called the Modernizations and the Removal of Obsolescence scheme. MORADABAD, I think most of you, got the grant like the MORADABAD from the ICT. And RPS, you know about the RPS, that is called the Research Promotion Scheme. So these are the grant under the ICT. Second scheme under the Industry Institute Interaction Scheme. And these are the some scheme like the Industry Institute Partnership Cell, IIPC, EDC, that is called the Entrepreneurship Development Cells, National Facility in Engineering and Technology with the Industrial Collaboration, and NCP, that is called the Nationally Coordinated Projects. So these are the some projects under the ICT. And the most common project or the most common scheme is the MORADABAD and RPS. And you can think about it and you can apply for the RPS if your institute or college or university under the AICT approved from the AICT, you can try for that. If you don't have AICT, you cannot apply for this grant. So this is the condition of the for this scheme. And these are the contact address. So you can go with the website aict.yarnet.in and you can visit the website and you can get the detailed information. What about the opening dates and closing dates, and what about their criteria, what about the thrust area, what about the niche area. Now the next one that is called the CSIRs, that is called the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. So the name of the schemes are as follows. The research schemes under this grant, under this proposal, sponsorship schemes, emeritus scientist scheme, and the research fellowship associateship grant. So these are the name of the schemes under the CSIR. And website I just quoted over here, so you can visit to CSIR website and you can apply for any one of the scheme. It's up to you. Emeritus scientist, because when the professor or scientist are retired and his or her field is very important, then on that time the CSIR providing the grant for the emeritus scientist for the niche area or for their area of interest. Now the next one that is called the DST, that is called the Department of Science and Technology, that is also SERP, Science and Engineering Research. The name of the schemes are as follows, like Deep Continental Studies, DCS, Himalayan Glaciology, Indian Climate Research Program, Instrument Development Programs, Joint Technology Projects, Natural Resources Data Management System, that is called the NRDMS, and the Pharmaceutical Research and Development Support Funds, and Science and Engineering Research Council. These all are the schemes. You can just see the schemes, and when which are your field. Suppose you are from the pharmacy background, so must be see this scheme, Pharmaceutical Research and Development Support Fund, and you can apply for that. Either the Pharmaceutical Research and Development Fund or Science and Engineering Research Council. The both of these schemes are applicable for the pharmacy fields. So if you are interested, you can write the proposal and you can submit the proposal in the DST, and you can get the grant. I'm talking about the research grant. If you have if you want to take a travel grant, on that time you have to submit your proposal for the traveling grant, and if your proposal is up to mark, you can get the grant, and you can get the traveling grant, and you can go abroad and present your paper or deliver your lecture. Now the website is the serc.dst.org. So if you want to take more information, you can visit your website, and you can see more information. It's one of the important collaborative research project that is called the ASEAN India Science Technology Innovation Corporations. It's a very important programs, and the 30th of December is the closing date. So if you guys girls, if you guys are interested for that, you can must be applied for this grant. This grant basically it's India and the ASEAN countries. The ASEAN countries basically you know about the ASEAN countries, like the examples are the Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, and Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. These all are the ASEAN country. So you can submit the project, submit the research proposal from India as well as any of the two from the ASEAN countries. So you can submit the proposal in DST, because it's a part of the DST, that is called the ASEAN India Science Technology Innovation Corporation. It's a collaborative research work, and you can get the grant up to 30 lakhs, and the grant will reimburse to the Indian PI. So these are the more detail. If you want to see more detail, you can go, you can visit this website that is called the AISTIC.gov.in, and you can get more information. And it's the most important grant, and it's if your proposal is up to mark, you can get this grant, and the chances will be very high. So it's a India versus ASEAN project, India abroad project under the ASEAN countries. What about their general description? You know about the India has been dialogue partners for the ASEAN. What about the ASEAN? The ASEAN, that is called the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and these are the countries under the Southeast Asia. So this was started in 1992, and in 2012, this occasion of the 20th of anniversary, the dialogue partner and Indian ASEAN celebrated this commemorative summit, and they declared the enhancement of the relationship. So this is the most important grant, and nowadays the opening is going on, and the closing date will be 30th of December. So if you guys, if you are interested, you can contact me, and you can submit the proposal, research proposal to the DST, and because here in this grant there are three partnership, one from the India and two from the ASEAN countries, either the Malaysia or Singapore, or either Brunei or Cambodia, it up to you. So there are three partners in this proposal, and if your proposal is approved from the reviewers, from the DST, you can get the grant, and principal investigator get the grant from the DST, and the reimbursement of amount rupees in Indian PI. And these are some conditions. There are many conditions over there. So if you want to see the details, kindly visit the website and check the detailed information. Now the second one that is called the ICMR. You know about the ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. Nowadays they're providing the grant for the research work. And recently I submitted the concept note for the ICMR in the cancer research, and it's under review now. Is under review. So the name of a scheme, you know about the ad hoc research scheme, that is called the open-ended research program. On the basis of the applications, the grant in ad received from the scientist in the non-ICMR research institutions. The name of the scheme, the second one, after ad hoc research scheme, the second scheme that is called the Senior Research Fellowship, SRF, and the JRF, as well as Research Associateship. You can also get the grant as a PDF. So if you are a PhD holder, and if you have the PhD, and within 2 years you can apply for the PDF grant, and the PDF grant you can get the 50,000 per month from the ICMR for the scholarship as a fellowship as a PDF. So if you guys, if you are interested, you can apply for the PDF grant, postdoctoral grant, and postdoctoral fellowship grant, and you can get the grant from the ICMR, and it's a very handsome amount that is called the 50K per month, and the HRA plus. So these are the some scheme. The second scheme that is called the Emeritus Medical Scientist scheme. So when the retired medical scientists and teachers, this grant is applicable for that person, that guys. When the scientists or teachers or the medical doctors are retired from the medical college or the from the research institutions, on that time the ICMR providing the grant for the emeritus scientist, and they continue to take up the research on the scientific biomedical topics. So these are some main schemes, and some other related schemes like the short-term research studentship. So this short-term research studentship is not for the pharmacy students. These are applicable for the undergraduate medical students, for the MBBS students, to encourage them to familiarize themselves to research methodology and techniques. This short-term research studentship is only for the MBBS students. Now the rest, all of the schemes are applicable for the pharmacy students or the pharmacy background. So you can must be think about it, and you can try for that. It's nowadays I see giving too much amount for the research purpose. Now the next one that is called the National Task Force Project. So National Task Force Project, basically it's a time bound, and it's a goal oriented approach, and it's a clearly defined targets, and that is certain timelines and time frames. So these are the some that is called the National Task Force Project. So there are different type of projects under the ICMR. And third one that is called the Center for the Advanced Research, that is called the CFAR. So CFAR, the setting of the centers for the advanced research in the different research area around the existing expertise and infrastructure to select a department for the medical college, universities, and non-ICMR research institutes. So these are some other research activities under the ICMR guidelines. And the next one that is called the guidance for the international collaboration for the research in the biomedical research. So ICMR also providing the research grant for the collaborative work for India as well as USA collaboration, India, UK collaboration. So if you are guys interested, you can think about it and you can go for that. Now the next one that is called the ICMR International Fellowship for the Indian biomedical scientist, ICMR financial assistance for the MBA students. So these are the some grants, and even ICMR also providing the grant for the organizing seminar, organizing symposia, organizing workshop, even for the invited talks, for invited talks, for lecture, for international talk. ICMR, DBT, as well as DST, they're providing the grant for even lecture series also. So you must think about it, and these all are the funding agencies, and these are the details. So thank you so much. If you have any question, any query, you can ask me. Feel free. I have the detailed information. If you need, I will provide to you. I will send to you. Okay. Okay. You can ask the questions, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your informative and knowledgeable session and giving information regarding the how to apply for research proposal and for in applying in different funding agencies. Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to thank all the participants to join the for joining the today's session. And we will see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Sweta,
Sir,
Sushil sir. Thank you so much for
sir,
inviting me. Yeah, yeah, sir, please, tell me.
sir, my one question.
Yeah,
How many proposal accept by the ICMR?
how many proposal?
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's depending upon the conditions. Earlier, I told you the research proposal is acceptance or rejection is not depending upon the private or public institutes. Okay, the first criteria, the eligibility or impact of the PI. If your PI and your profile is very good and your research work is very nice, you can get the grant. Okay, so acceptance criteria and rejection criteria depending upon the ICMR and their reviewers. It's not under our hand. You can only try and try.
Okay,
And
sir. Thank you, sir.
if you have impactful project, you can get the grant.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Anybody else would like to ask question to our sir, resource person? If anybody is interested,
Sir, how can I contact you?
You can contact with the Sushil sir because Sushil sir has my number. My email ID is dkmps@hotmail.com. Okay, and in our WhatsApp groups, my number was there, so you can save my number, and you may contact me anytime. And if you need if you need any help, any assistance, I will help you. I will help you, all of you, for the funding, for the proposal, for submission of workshop, for travel grants. I will support you. I will assist you. Okay, no issue.
Yes,
And
sir.
you can get. Yes.
Sir, I am now writing the proposal for ICMR funding. Then
Actually, what is your name? Your name is Siwalal.
Silal, yes, Silal. Sir, yes, I am PhD. I am
Okay,
PhD scholar from Central City of Rajasthan.
Okay. So, Dr. Siwalal, I am sharing something to you. Is your institute is DSIR certified?
Yes, sir. ICT approved and PCI approved. Now
No. I am telling about DSIR. Just now I explained about the DSIR. You see, the DSIR, your institute should be DSIR.
Sir, I don't know, sir.
So first of all, you check with your admin.
Yes, sir.
Is it certified by the DSIR? If certified by the DSIR, you can apply to ICMR because the ICMR, the minimum criteria is your institute or your university should be certified by the DSIR.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and
Yes,
and you can see just now you can see the ICMR website. Just you visit your website ICMR, and now it's already opening going on. So you can think about it. You can submit your proposal.
okay, sir.
any other ones? Okay, sir. Thank you so much for answering the questions patiently of the Mr. Shivlal Yadav. Anybody else would like to ask, or we would like to close this session? Okay, so now we would like to close the session and we'll meet you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Sweta Yadav. Okay, thank you, okay, thank you, Sushil sir, for inviting me. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, have a good day. Okay, bye.
Okay, sir. Bye, sir.